Okay, everyone, we will go ahead and get started. Good evening and greetings from William and Mary. We are so happy to have time with you this evening or this morning, wherever you're calling in from around the world, but really delighted that you could join us for our fall series information sessions. A brief intro of tonight's topic. Tonight, we will be exploring the future of consulting with one of my very favorite professors, Dr. David Long. I'm going to introduce Dr. Long in just a moment, a little more formally, but for now, I'll provide an introduction of our run-of show for this evening. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Amanda Barth, and I serve as Director of Admission for our MBA portfolio here at the Raymond A. Mason School of Business. I'm also a 2006 graduate of the Education Policy Planning and Leadership Program from William and Mary School of Education. I earned my master's back in 2006. And in 2009, I returned to the university to begin a decade-long career in MBA admissions. So if you hear a little bias in my voice, I bleed green and gold and absolutely love being a member of the tribe. Also with us tonight is my Associate Director, Josh Lustig. So Josh, I'll have you briefly introduce yourself and give a little bit of background about William and Mary for those who are perhaps joining us for the first time. And then Dr. Long will come back and formally introduce you as well.
Sure. Well, thank you, Amanda. And it's good to see everyone again tonight. I see some familiar faces, but a lot of new ones as well. So that'll make for a fun evening or again, morning, wherever you may be around the world. But as Amanda mentioned, I'm the Associate Director of MBA Admissions. I've been in this role for 2 years. Prior to this, I worked for Johnson & Johnson as a clinical sales consultant for about 7 years. And before that, I coached some college level football. But most importantly, I'm a graduate of William & Mary, graduating in 2005. So just like Amanda, very, very proud of my alma mater and excited to be back working here. You know, I've started these calls like this before, but again, we have some new people on the call. I think it's important that we start off by saying it's a lot more than just the MBA or consulting tonight, but you get that William & Mary brand on your resume if you come through this program and these buildings. And when I say that, there's a lot of prestige, a lot of tradition, a lot of history with William & Mary. Established in 1693, we're the second oldest university in America to Harvard. 3 U.S. presidents went to school here. We're one of 8 original public Ivy institutions. So again, I'm very, very proud of our alma mater here tonight. And again, a lot of tradition, history, and prestige. But with that, I look forward to hearing Professor Long speak to us all tonight and go deeper. So thank you, Amanda.
Very good. And again, we are so excited to have Professor David Long. He is absolutely one of our favorites, always full of energy, full of life. Our students adore him. Professor Long's focus here at the Mason School is on consulting and also strategic organization improvement. He's recognized by Poets and Quants as a top 40 business school professor. Dr. Long earned his PhD at the University of Florida, so he's a Gator at heart. And prior to that, he served as a naval flight officer. He was active duty Navy. Now he's active Navy Reserves and a flight instructor. Dr. Long again is beloved by our students, and we're so very proud to have him on the call and to share his expertise as we explore the future of consulting this evening. David, you're all set and you can unmute and take it away.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Josh. And thanks for reminding me to unmute. That's usually my first fatal flaw whenever I'm on a Zoom call. It's nice to see some smiling faces. It's nice to meet everybody virtually. I hope to see you guys on campus at some point down the future. I think I may have met Chandler recently. Chandler, is that you? It's nice to see you again, my friend. So Amanda did a nice job introducing me to one of our prospective students. So it's great to see you again, Chandler. Thank you for the nice introduction. I appreciate that. It's such a pleasure to be a part of the faculty here at William & Mary. And Amanda and Josh, you guys do a great job facilitating these and onboarding the faculty to be a part of this. This is a really special opportunity. I want to talk about two things for you guys. One is the future of consulting, because I had the honor of designing the consulting course. It's an elective. It's a consulting specialization course that you have the opportunity to take in your second year of our MBA program. And I sheepishly have to say that the only way that I was able to design this course is I asked our alumni to come in and help us. And I thought this was going to be a huge ask. I thought I was going to ask 50 alumni and 4 would say, okay, fine. I asked 50 alumni and 50 said yes. In fact, they eagerly said yes and joined our consulting board that we brand new established to help our MBA program. And then they decided to come to campus on their own dime and on their own time to teach the courses. All I had to do was facilitate it. So I'll talk about the course in a second, but I have learned in the last 2 years of teaching the course, the future of consulting is unbelievable. I didn't even know what consulting meant when I started teaching here. I was an organizational behavior, a management professor, and consulting was just a job that people made a lot of money in. I didn't really understand what it was. But now I understand it's two things. It's the traditional view of consulting is consultants help organizations solve problems. Okay, so when an organization has a problem and they hire a consultant to solve it, somebody with expertise that they don't necessarily have that expertise, or they don't have somebody, they don't have the time or the money to bring somebody on board full time. They just need to partner with somebody to come in and solve a problem. The newer way to look at consulting is they're helping organizations think about tomorrow's problems, right? So like what's around the corner. And I read the World Economic Forum's report today that talked about the future of work. And what they have said is that for the first time, we're having a double disruption. We have disruption from technology, which we've all been dealing with for the last 10 years, but we have disruption from COVID too. I mean, look at us. We're sitting on a virtual call. Typically we'd be on campus, right, Amanda? Yeah, so we're sitting on a virtual call, staring at each other through a screen, and that's exactly what organizations are doing. So consultants are helping organizations find innovative and new ways to bridge this gap and work through this double disruption. Some of the other things that the future of consulting is doing is extreme automation with new technologies, whether it's cloud, AI, big data, new insights and analysis as in addition to big data, but rapid data is coming on board. I can use my phone and run an organization or a business now, and that's incredible. And so companies are scared, and they're looking for partners to help them not be so scared and to kind of work through some of those challenges. Orgs are wanting to simplify things. The big office building with the fancy glass windows in Upper East Side of Manhattan is becoming less attractive, and organizations are trying to figure out how to become flatter and leaner. And so consultants are helping them change the culture, change the structure of their organizations. I mean, it's completely unlimited, the potential for consultants to help organizations solve current problems and tomorrow's problems. And then finally, people management, human capital, social capital, basic analytics, diversity, inclusion. You want to talk about a big topic? D&I right now. Organizations are thrashing around trying to figure out how can we envelop D&I so that not only gets us up to current standards, but helps us be more strategic so that we can capitalize on the social changes that are going on. And so if you're interested in whether it's tech and data, or whether you know people and solving people problems and human capital, this is an all-you-can-eat buffet, and it's fascinating to me. And I didn't know anything about this 2 years ago until we brought our alumni in to help us build this course, teach this course, and roll this course out. In fact, Amanda, I wish I had 3 courses I could teach, right? You only give me one. I wish I had 3. And so the future of consulting is strong. Now I want to talk about the consulting course that I didn't design it. I literally just stood back and watched our alumni design it.
Awesome.
But we've partnered with KPMG, Aon, Booz Allen Hamilton, EY, Grant Thornton, Accenture, Deloitte, BCG, IBM, and a few other smaller firms to all come to campus to say, this is the curriculum that I want to teach, and this is how I want to teach it. And so, like I said, I just facilitate and let these folks come to campus and teach the curriculum. we have partners, vice presidents, analysts, project managers, new hires, executives, seasoned veterans, you name it. They all come to campus. Most of them are William and Mary alum, either through our MBA or our undergrad, or sometimes dual degrees. And they teach the classes. They focus on business strategy, operations, IT, HR, or business processes. We really will kind of run the gamut in all different types of consulting facets. One of the cool things about William & Mary is our location. Because we're close to DC and we have a lot of military, we're really strong in federal consulting, but we do have some alumni who are in strategy or commercial consulting, and they come down from New York or Philly or Atlanta and help teach some of the commercial side. So really strong in federal, and I'd say we're gaining strength in the commercial side. Consulting can be thought of as either external, where you're hired by a firm to go partner with them and work on their problems, or it can be internal, where you work inside a company and you're an internal consultant helping them solve problems inside. So you really can be an employee of an organization. So consulting is kind of a whiteboard. It's a very general term. Management consulting has a lot of, if you like the type of person who likes new challenges, variety in what you do, and problems that are often ambiguous and wicked, but are fun to work on, and especially in a team, this is a great industry, a great field for you. The course that we teach focuses a lot on the skills, the soft skills, like the people skills, communication, leadership, managing conflict, working in teams, but also the analytical skills, big data, Python, technology, cloud computing. I mean, there's different types of technology skills as well. My goal as a faculty member is not only to teach you the skills, but help you get a job if you're interested in that. And the reason that I like to bring our alumni to campus is because they're great at recruiting and helping place jobs. It's a connection, it's networking. It's all part of getting you guys internships and ultimately jobs if that's what you desire in consulting at these firms. Our alumni take special interest in hiring William & Mary students to come represent their firms. And so one of the capstones that we have in the consulting course is a project where you work on a course-long project with a company that we've partnered with, and they give you a real problem. They say, one of the things we worked on was a Orlando theme park, an attraction company that's like, hey, we're building a couple of new attractions in Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and Branson, but we have no idea how to market it to millennials. And so the students will help them craft a marketing strategy that connects with millennials. Really innovative, and it's real problems with real money that you guys get to work on. That's the consulting specialization course. In addition to that, there's a CAM, which Amanda may talk about, a career accelerated module.
Yep, that's right.
Where in 7 weeks, you get to work on an intensive project. There's also a field consultancy, which is a year-long project. So in addition to my course, you get all these different bites at the apple where you get to apply your consulting skills with real clients in the real world. And that just pads your resume. It gives you real world skills that you can apply, and it gives you stories to talk about when you're meeting with prospective firms for you to work for, or with other clients, and you can talk about your experience. It's truly amazing. There's just a lot of opportunity here. And Amanda, I don't know if you'd like me to keep talking or you'd like to turn it over for Q&A or...
Yeah, I'll add just a few more pieces, but one of the real strengths of this program is our specialization in consulting, and Professor Long's class is really that introductory exploration. Is this right for me? And what's so special about the structure of our overall curriculum is that you get to work with faculty members like David to figure that out in the first year, in year one. And then in the second year is when you'd more formally declare, yes, I want a consulting specialization. David, one of the questions, and I'll bounce this off to you because I want to talk just a little more about the CAM and a little bit more about field consultancy. But a lot of times candidates, and Elliot, I know we were talking about this the other night, but how do you decide if you're planning a career in consulting? Should you be formalizing a consulting specialization, or should you go more towards an area like finance or business analytics, sort of to get more, functional skills? What would you recommend to a student trying to make that decision, David, in year one?
Yeah, it's a great question. Elliot, I'm with you on that. The core competencies, finance, accounting, strategy, data analytics, econ. I mean, these are going to be core fundamental skills that you're going to need to bring to consulting, because consulting is so dynamic. What the specialization offers you is a really focused, realistic job preview of what it's like. In addition to the skills that you build in the first year, in the second year, you get to work hand in hand with consultants who are in the field doing it. And so one of the things that we offer, if you do the consulting specialization, is we do, every time we teach a class, we have a lunch where you get to sit one-on-one with the VPs, with the partners, with the project managers, and you get to talk to them about what it is that they do, what it is that they're looking for in new hires, what it is that clients are wanting. You get to talk with them one-on-one about the job. And so in addition to kind of having the foundational stuff, which is extremely important, this just gives you kind of an insider's look into what the career is like. And it helps you network too. I mean, this really is a accelerator to getting a job, for a lack of better terms.
Absolutely it is. And we are known as a core consulting school for almost all of those companies that Dr. Long mentioned. When we think about our hiring outcomes and where students are going, all of those, well, the big four and then beyond the big four have been scooping up our MBAs in many different consulting sectors. So again, we love to see that track record here. And even if you do decide a specialization that looks a little different, like business analytics or supply chain for our global students that has a STEM designation, that doesn't mean you can't still go into consulting and be very, very successful. Also, all of our candidates in the second year have the opportunity to take the field consultancy that Dr. Long mentioned. And again, what's so special about that is even if you're finance focused, marketing focused, or even innovation and entrepreneurship focused, you still get the opportunity to work with one of our regional partners on a real consulting problem. Not only is that a great experiential learning opportunity, but it's also a resume builder. You'll be able to include some of what you've done on your resume, and you'll also be able to get in front of those companies for hiring opportunities. So the field consultancy in the second year for everyone is wildly popular, and one of the reasons that we've been able to stand strong as a core consulting school in the Virginia and DC metro area. We're just a great feeder to all of those big firms.
Yeah, and Amanda, if I can add to that,
please.
One of the things that I think is really unique and attractive about our program is in your second year, you have 3 opportunities for experiential learning and consulting. I mean, the field consulting is a year long. I mean, it's a full contract with an organization where they're paying for consulting services. I mean, it's the real deal. In my class, it's almost a baby steps to that, where we have an organization that has said, yes, we would like to introduce a problem. You go through an RFP process, there is a bidder's call, and then you present to the client at the end of the firm, but it's very much under the coaching and mentorship of our alumni and me, where we kind of help you develop the analytical and presentational skills that you'll need to be successful in that project. And then in the CAM, you're out in the field for a real short, intensive opportunity to work for site visits, to work with a company, work with faculty on cases and projects. So you really have 3 different opportunities in that second year to apply these skills that, Elliot, you learned in the first year, whether it's finance or accounting or strategy or OB, you kind of get to apply them in the second year. It's unbelievable.
David, another thing that I'd like to talk about before we turn it over to our guests for Q&A, the soft skills. What in your mind and based on what you've seen makes a successful consultant? What type of soft skills have you seen in the industry that will really make someone stand out and shine?
Yeah, so first off is the ability to build trust, right? Your client has to be able to trust you. And so one of the things that we teach in the consulting specialization course is relationship building. And the foundation of that is trust. It's how do you earn trust with somebody? You can't just come in with the answers. You have to take some time to work on the relationship first and build the relationship before you can interject your recommendations and your solutions. They just will land flat if you don't take time to build trust. Second one is communication, right? And communication is two things. I mean, there's being an effective communicator, having the right presentation skills, knowing how to stand in front of an audience, especially when there's a power distance between you and that audience. But also influence and persuasion, right? There's a strong science on social influence, right? We know ways that we can influence an audience. We can get them to conform to our ideas, to say yes to us, whether you're a parent, whether you're a student, or whether you're a consultant in the field. There's strong science to stand on, and we teach this. I know that this is my research. I'm good at this stuff, and I love to explain to my students exactly how this stuff works because it's fascinating and it's extremely powerful. And so having that toolkit, having those tools in your toolkit can be extremely powerful. And so come to campus. You guys will see what I'm talking about. This is amazing stuff, and the science is strong, it's robust, it's leading edge, and it's all right here.
And we promise our students that there are no faculty that are better than William and Mary faculty. Our faculty are ranked #1 for learning outcomes by Business Week, and we're very proud of that. So you can see why they have that accolade. Something else that's really exciting for us that helps to build those competencies in our students. There are two parts that you've heard Josh and I talk about before in this fall series, but we mentioned our executive partners. This program, the Executive Partner Program, has been around for 20 years, and it is so robust with over 100 senior executives coaching and mentoring our students. So they add a layer to what the faculty are providing in terms of the development of some of those skills that you would use in an industry like consulting. You'll have the ability to give a pitch to an executive partner, to refine your personal story, to shape your personal brand, and to really build those skills and competencies with a one-on-one coach. And in addition to that, in the first year, in the very first session, you'll go through the Principled Professional course. And that's a course that has been really strategically designed and strategically placed in the core curriculum to make sure that when you're getting in front of our alumni, our corporate recruiters, and our partners at those early junctures, that you've refined a lot of the skills that you need to really stand out. So in addition to having faculty at your back, really teaching you, really supporting you, you also have that guidance from the executive partners, the career team, and actually a class that is designed around building competencies. Very good. Well, David, let's open it up for questions from our guests. I see so many familiar names. I am so excited to see everyone out there tonight. Andy, I know you're calling in from Indonesia, and Francis calling in from Nigeria, Pradeep from Nepal, Lavia from India. We know you. We're so excited to see everyone. And for our domestic candidates, great to have you all back this evening. Captain Jackson, I see you on the call, but really happy to have you all. John McAllister, just delighted. So thank you for joining. As you know from these sessions, we don't want you to be shy. We want you to feel very welcome to raise a hand, to unmute, or to simply drop your question in the chat bar, and Josh and I will help to moderate with Professor Long. But we'd love to hear from you tonight. This call is for you, and we certainly welcome your questions. So please go ahead and let them fly. And one question that will kind of kick us off with, David, how also would you mentor a candidate to start to really figure out their focus, their functional specialization within the consulting industry? You mentioned all those great buckets: human capital, financial consulting, tech, federal consulting. How does a candidate start to make some of those decisions early enough for the internship interviews and then for the career outcomes?
Yeah, so there's really two ways to do that. There's just through experience. I mean, your first year, you get kind of a broad swath of a lot of the different core functions that any consultant would do. Whether it's people or ops or IT or finance or strategy, you kind of you get a sample of all those different functions. Then in your internship, you get to kind of apply those things. But in the consulting specialization, and I'll just use that as an example because it's what we built and what I know so well. We bring in a broad array of consultants with different backgrounds. We've got people from Deloitte who specialize in data analytics. We've got somebody from Deloitte who specializes in human resources. We've got somebody from KPMG who does accounting, and Accenture who does accounting. We've got somebody who specializes in talent management. And so interacting with all those different consultants, you get to hear what they do. You get to hear what they do day in and day out in their field, in their industry, in their specialization. And so you can start to think, okay, this is something that resonates with me. This is something that I can do, or this, you know what? That's not my thing. That's not my bag. I'm not a quant person. I'm more of a qualitative person. So we give you exposure to a broad array of people, not only in your courses, but into the specialization. So you can kind of make that determination of what's a best fit for you. Because Amanda, fit is very important.
Absolutely. We agree that fit factor is essential. Of course, Josh and I talk about that all the time with our candidates because it's also something that we're assessing along the way. But if you are at all thinking of consulting as an area of specialty within an MBA, you have certainly landed in the right place here at William & Mary. And again, you can hear the energy and enthusiasm of our faculty. David is special, but they're all like this. So we're really excited to have him with us tonight. I see a great question. Josh, you want to manage Chandler's question in the sidebar?
Sure. Chandler just wants to know, was the addition of the course due to the growth within your program or the growth within the industry that required this addition?
Chandler, you just struck the nerve right there, my friend, because the course, we realized that we were placing a ton of students in consulting, but we really didn't give them a good enough foundation for the job itself. We were giving them some of the core skills, but having kind of an insider's view to consulting, giving them access to our alumni who are in consulting, that bridge was right there. We just needed to build it for them. So we designed a course that would allow the students the opportunity to kind of walk that bridge easier. What they were having to do was graduate and network on their own. We have great career placement. We have a lot of job opportunities. I mean, Amanda and her team do a great job of doing that, but why not make that bridge shorter, right? We can bring alumni here. We can have the faculty specialize in consulting. And it just made a ton of sense since we were placing so many people in consulting. William & Mary's just happens to be, because of our location, because of the caliber of our students, we're just a great feeder for consulting. We've got DC, we've got Virginia Beach, we've got Hampton Roads, we have Richmond, we have the South, kind of the gateway there. So we just have a lot of access to consulting jobs. So why not build a program that kind of helps facilitate that placement? It's a great question. It's exactly why we did it. We're like, wait, this makes total sense. Why don't we do something like this?
Just say quickly, Amanda and Professor Alana, I mean, I've been in this role for 2 years and prior to COVID, I feel like not a week or 2 weeks went by where someone from EY, someone from Deloitte, all the big companies were here recruiting our students or putting them through interviews or mock interviews or even just networking. So you truly will get that kind of relationship building and that access in this program.
Josh, let me tell you something, man. I'm telling you, you're absolutely right. I am blown away, but how much our alumni want to give back to this university. I can't believe it. I thought, again, it was going to be a big ask for me to reach out to our alumni and ask them to fly down from New York and spend Thursday and Friday here teaching our students. It's just the opposite. They're like, how many times can I come this semester? Are you sure I can only teach one day? I would actually like to spend a week here. I can't believe how attached and involved our alumni are, and they want to help. They absolutely want to help. It's not an ask at all. They feel thrilled to even be asked. It's unbelievable, Josh.
They also want their cheese shop lunch. Let's be honest, David.
That's good. You're right about that.
There are some special places on campus. So we see some other really good questions over here. Elliot, excellent question. Elliot wants to know about some of the resources available within the consulting industry, probably at an early juncture, that are encouraging and developing thought leadership. So with the industry as a whole developing new thought leadership, new ways of consulting.
Yeah, so Elliot, so one of the cool things about most of the firms that we partner with, KPMG, Accenture, Aon, EY, is they are truly innovators in their onboarding process. Through their internships, to their onboarding, to their socialization processes, they are completely cutting edge and leading in their industry of enveloping interns and new hires and appropriately onboarding them to give them the appropriate challenges. And like you said, to developing those thought leaders, right? They're really good at figuring out ways to keep you because it's so expensive to recruit, train, and hire you. They know how to keep you guys, right? And so they're really innovative in figuring out ways to do that. So they're completely on board with developing their new hires and their interns. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So many of our students have been with those firms for 1 to 2 years, and they're so thrilled that they're there, and you can just see their growth. You can see their development. It's remarkable.
Getting a lot of great questions here, so this is great. Let me get through one. Josh Dudenhofer has, and we probably answered this somewhat, but he's asking what resources prospective students can use to explore consulting roles. So I know we just briefly talked about that, and we have our career team and the EPs, but any other Professor Long or Amanda even to explore the consulting roles? I don't know if there's, what resources, maybe websites, people, I don't know, but anything else to add to that?
I really think it's the alumni, and of course then the faculty and the guest speakers, the guest lecturers, but also the camaraderie, and David can support me on this, but there's something special about being a William and Mary MBA. I know a lot of business schools will say that they're collaborative and there's a sense of good teamwork, but it goes beyond that here. I would say that we are a family, and we are a business school community where there are no rough elbows. Our students are competitive within themselves, but not at the expense of each other. So you'll find that a lot of our second years, they are available and very willing to sit down with an incoming first year and say, this was how I, networked with faculty. This is how I utilize career management. These are the EPs that are really helpful in the consulting sector. Here are the companies that I looked at. They'll even sit down and we have stories floating of a student having an interview. So if I'm an MBA and I had an interview with KPMG, yesterday afternoon, and Josh is teed up for tomorrow morning, I would sit down and talk to Josh about what to expect. So it's that type of community here. And I know David sees that in the classroom. Josh and I see it. We also pick you for it. We want you to have that sense of community and advancing everyone here. You'll have a bit of a chip on your shoulder when you leave this place, and it's really a good thing. I see some other great questions over here. Alex, Captain Jackson has a question, and luckily we have Dr. Long on tonight, but David, many of our students coming in, as you know, are either active duty or former military like yourself. And the question is regarding, will security clearance help a student in internships in the consulting sector and in general in internships and job opportunities that require special security clearance?
Absolutely, yeah. So they're a huge expense for organizations, especially if you hold a secret or even a TS. And so if you do come in with those credentials, that's just one more feather in your cap, especially at federal consulting level. And so organizations are always excited. If you think about typical security clearance, takes about 6 months to process from the time you fill out the forms until the time you get the clearance. So if you already have one in, that can just accelerate that time gap, where you can either get hired sooner or you qualify for the summer internship that other people who needed the clearance would. And so, yeah, that's a nice feather. That's a nice feather in the cap if you have one. Absolutely, because of so many federal partners we have.
So this is Alex. I do have a secondary question with that.
Yep.
So I do have a TS/SCI clearance, but it's going to expire, I think, halfway through the program.
Okay.
Have you ever had a student with something like that going through, and have you ever seen whether it's easier to to reinvestigate in the middle. But have you ever seen companies help facilitate the recertification for a TS SEI clearance, or even just a secret, like if it's going to expire mid-time? Have you seen that?
Yeah, so your TS SEI expires after your first year?
About that time, yes, sir.
Are you currently working for, are you military?
Yeah, I'm military. I'm currently being medically retired after a bad airborne jump. It's wonderful, and I'm just looking for opportunities outside since I can't do what I want to do.
If you have the opportunity to start that whole process now before you get out, that would be great. But sure, I mean, look, firms have, if they want you, if you're an attractive candidate, they will find a way to get you your clearance re-up. I mean, we're talking about billion-dollar corporations, so this is not typically an issue for our companies. If you're a William & Mary student and you have attractive credentials, they're going to find a way to redo your investigation. But if there's any way you can do it now, jump on that opportunity.
And I get those calls all the time as a reference for those special investigations for clearance. It's very common. So, and that kind of ties into James's question. James, also a very good question about the type of federal consulting opportunities. Our alumni go into all of those areas that you mentioned, into Treasury, into defense, into commerce, all across the board. So, into NGOs, into education. I've been really impressed with the pockets that our students will pursue and the projects. Sometimes I'll bump into them in places where I'm surprised to see them working on a particular project, but across the board in terms of federal consulting here. There's also, Pradeep, you have a wonderful question. Pradeep, our buddy from Nepal, this is a really important one. He's talking about, consulting a little more honestly about the work-life balance, the super tight deadlines, the rigor of the job, the travel in a post-COVID world, and the culture. David, talk to us a little bit about that, because he's right. There is another side to consulting.
Yeah, so different firms are better at this than others, and different types of consulting are typically better. The big commercial BCGs, Bains of the world, they are definitely tough on work-life balance and schedules, especially for junior consultants. There's no doubt about it. Some of the federal positions are much better about this because they have to deal with the federal government, and the federal government's pretty good about work-life balance. So they kind of have the luxury of having better balance, especially for junior people. But organizations are coming around. They're definitely evolving to be more adaptive when it comes to helping their employees balance. Look, there's a war on talent. They know they need to keep good people, and the best way to keep good people is to offer them the type of quality of life that they want to stay around. And so organizations are evolving. That said, yes, certain firms are better in certain industries. Federal typically is better than commercial, especially for junior consultants.
Very good. And that does tie in a bit. John McAllister, you've got a great question about a type of consulting that I've seen in human capital. But David, in terms of training, leadership development, talent development, is that where you see human capital as a right fit? And what would you have to say about that niche area?
Yeah, absolutely. Who asked that, John?
John McAllister, yep.
Okay, yeah. So John, we have a wonderful person who is an MBA alumna, and she exclusively owns her own firm. It's a small firm in Richmond, and they do wonderful human capital and social talent and talent development. They focus on leadership training and emotional intelligence and building just high quality leaders. And she's wonderful. Not only does she own her own firm, but she's great at helping students identify who's good at that, who's interested in that, and what are A, big firms to start at, and B, is more of a smaller boutique firm a good fit for you. And so I'd be happy to talk to you about that one-on-one. You're welcome to call me or email me, and I can put you in touch with her name's Judy Brashear, and she's a wonderful person, and she'd be delighted to talk to you specifically about that, because I think it's a wonderful thing.
Very good. And Lavia also has a really important question. A lot of times when consultants have the first few years under their belt. Lavia actually works in risk at PwC, but is now understanding that the more you grow within a firm, that then there's responsibility for you bringing in new business, for establishing relationships with clients. So he's wanting to know kind of what support we provide for training on business development, how to broker new relationships with clients at a higher level. And then I would also add to that, Lavia, we're also training you all to be entrepreneurial thinkers. So where do you go with this if you want to create your own firm one day?
Yeah, Lavia, it's great because I didn't know, this is one of the things I didn't know about consulting. I didn't know a lot about it, and I've learned, but I thought consulting was consulting, but I realized senior consultants' job is to grow business. The junior consultants are the ones really working with the clients. And so the way that I learned that is because we've got the partners and the VPs who come to campus and help. And so if that's the kind of question you're interested in, is not applying the consulting skills with the client, but growing the business and building relationships and networking and using influence and leadership to bring in new talent. They can work with you one-on-one, but we also teach that stuff too, right? So we also teach about how to connect with clients, how to grow business, how to develop, innovate or broach new industries. I mean, we really do run the gamut on that. It's just typically people aren't at your level where they know that the senior people are more about growing the business. So if you're interested in that, we can kind of customize that too.
And there's a whole lot of activity going on in the B School community that also teaches you those skills sort of fundamentally. So I wasn't kidding when I said spend some time in the Entrepreneurship Center. They teach our students how to write a business plan. And yes, you may not need that the moment you graduate, but if you have the skill set and you have it in your hip pocket, you'll always have those lifelong tools to think like an entrepreneur and even to apply that to the consulting world, because a few of the other soft skills that firms are going to want to see is that independent, critical problem solving, the ability to write a plan, to help others understand it. That happens a lot in our Entrepreneurship Center here at the Mason School as well. So you start to see how everything you do here comes together, whether it's working your way through the core curriculum, engaging in centers, meeting with career management, it all starts to fold in, and it really is the value of an MBA, and I'm going to say this, the value of an in-person residential experience, because what David's talking about, when you see all of that happening on campus, it's pretty awesome. Very good. Well, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely excellent questions tonight. Francis, very good. One more question. Francis, this is very important. Francis is going to get a shout out again because she is a legacy. Her sister, Christiana, gets our kudos. She is a first-year MBA, Christiana, who is currently working remotely on her MBA experience. David, she might even be in your class, but in a few weeks, we are hopeful to have her here. Our fingers are crossed for her successful visa interview in just a couple days in Lagos. But Francis, your question is excellent. So federal consulting in the States typically is reserved for domestic or American students, but don't let that get you back, because David has shared so many different types of consulting opportunities. David, where have you seen our global students launch in the consulting sector during your time here?
Great question. So either in the commercial side or as internal consultants for organizations. So the consulting skills are so applicable across different jobs and different industries. And so even though some of the federal opportunities may be limited, commercial and internal consulting is wide open.
Absolutely. And also in some of the STEM areas, some of our students are coming in and focusing on business analytics as a STEM designated opportunity, but they're still applying that functional expertise to tech consulting and doing a great job and getting hired with wonderful companies in organizations. So, Young Sue, I think you're asking about the same in terms of post-MBA career outcomes for global students. Consulting firms are friendly to global talent. Right now, due to COVID, the scenario is a little different for all of our students, but we're working through it. But international talent is still extremely coveted here in the United States. So no matter what you see in the news media, no matter what you hear in terms of rhetoric, and yes, we have an exciting election coming up, but please know that global talent is coveted in the United States, and we would be silly not to take advantage of the global talent and your training here. So our Career Management Center, they work very closely with our global students, and they have dedicated resources that will help a global student on their MBA career path differently from an American, from a domestic student. But please know that we're not only training you for federal consulting jobs in DC. Our students will take consulting jobs all over the United States and all over the world. I co-led a global business immersion to Abu Dhabi, Dubai, and Bahrain 2 years ago, and we went to A.T. Kearney and McKinsey in Dubai at the invitation of one of our alums, Arwa Zabara. Arwa and her husband Emery are very talented. They're from Saudi Arabia and Turkey, respectively, and they decided to launch their career globally. So you are not restricted to Washington, D.C. for your consulting careers here at William & Mary. I would really want you to know that we are a national presence and we are a global brand. So please know that the sky is the limit in terms of where you go. Very good. We have one more really good question. So I'm going to let one more fire and then we'll start to wrap up with each other this evening. Pradeep is asking another great one, talking about the academic backgrounds, David, that the students come in with. So could you just talk a little bit about that? How significant is the undergrad area of expertise coupled with then the MBA? In terms of landing consulting jobs? Yeah,
awesome question. I didn't know this one either. So I thought every consultant had to be like CPA or, CFM or, some sort of strong business degree. But the consulting firms are starting to realize that if you have a philosophy background or if you're English, you bring in a totally unique skill set, and they're hungry for creativity and different perspectives, right? So a lot of the traditional paradigms that we think about when it comes to solving business problems, they're good, they work. But if you can bring in something from totally outside, if you're a chemistry or a classics major, oh man, they eat you up. So pair that with your MBA and you're on fire. Yeah, we won't be able to keep you around very long. It's unbelievable.
He's telling the truth. I've experienced this as an English-Spanish double major. You'll probably be doing the bulk of the writing when you're working in a team or working in a field consultancy within your group. But what we always tell our students is challenge yourself to take on areas outside of your background when you're in a program like this. So we tell our students, if you don't have a finance background, be the first person to volunteer to do one of the wicked finance problems so that you can really test yourself and really learn. This is a safe learning environment for 2 years, and it's that last time that you'll have that pause for reflection and pause to simply try things in a really safe environment where projects aren't on the line and your job, isn't on the line. So, take risks here in the program, know that it is an incredible learning community. And at the end of the day, it's still important that learning process and development happens. So a wonderful place to do that. I am super impressed. Josh and David, I don't know about the two of you, but really, really insightful questions this evening. If we were, grading this for admission, we'd be offering quite a few admission offers this evening, but really impressed with the questions. Thank you all for spending time with us. We know that there's a little Zoom fatigue in the world, but it was a really enjoyable almost hour. Josh, anything to add?
Well, I will take this opportunity just quickly. November 12th, 3 weeks from tonight, is our next session on business analytics. But lastly, I have to thank Dr. Long for being our guest tonight. And everything he said tonight, from his knowledge to his personality to all the relationship piece, that's why we're number one in Learning in Business Week, I think, and top 3 overall professors in Princeton Review. So you all see it firsthand. Professor Long, Dr. Long, that's who you'll be working with on a daily basis. And these are connections you're going to make for life. And it truly is relationship driven here at William & Mary. I'll all the 1693s and all the history and traditions and prestiges is great, but ultimately it's the people here. And I think you all will find that from the first day you get here and even the Zooms before you get here. So again, thank you, Dr. Long, for having us tonight.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Amanda. It's awesome. It's nice to see you guys. I really appreciate you taking the time. It means a lot. It really does.
Absolutely. And we definitely thank you. And we thank all of you for being here together. So have a wonderful night, everyone. Please stay safe. And Dr. Long, I almost hugged you the other day when I was with Chandler, but I had restraint. I
think I might have hugged Chandler, and I'm sorry if I did that. I can't really remember.
But really great to have you all. So on behalf of everyone at William & Mary, thank you so much. We look forward to continuing to partner with you as you head off on your MBA journey. Thank you, remain safe, and have a wonderful evening. Bye, everyone.